All right, the White House announced this week that it was looking into stripping the security clearance from several Obama-era officials. One of the people who may be losing his privileges is, the guy that voted for a communist for president. How he ever became the CIA director is a mystery. Director John Brennan. He's one of the biggest Trump haters out there, now a political hack for Conspiracy Theory TV, where I guess he belongs. Now remember, the CIA protocol says if you want to keep your clearance, you got to act like a modern-day CIA employee. You can't be doing stuff like this.
I think he's afraid of the president of Russia.
Why?
Well, I think one can speculate as to why. That the Russians may have something on him personally that they could always roll out and make his life more difficult.
Mr. Trump continues to have his ignorance of the facts or willful disregard of them. Again, just to follow through on these campaign promises that really were very flawed.
I and so many other former national security officials are speaking out because of the abnormal and aberrant behavior of Mr. Trump.
This is a very large and painful national kidney stone. The relief we feel afterward is going to be just exhilarating.
Here with reaction, he's author of Why We Fight, Recovering America's Will to Win, Fox News national security strategist, Dr. Sebastian Gorka, retired CIA senior intelligence officer, Fox News contributor Daniel Hoffman. Daniel, let me start with you. You know John Brennan. The CIA, we did put it up on the screen last night. Yeah, if you want your clearance, you got to act as though you are the same way a current CIA employee would act. Is that the actions of a current CIA employee?
Not exactly. Let me just make two quick points, Sean. First of all, for the rank and file retired intelligence officers who retain a security clearance, it's because they have a job to do as a contractor back in the intelligence community, which requires the clearance. Secondly, there's no evidence that John Brennan or Jim Clapper has revealed classified information. In fact, they have willfully spoken untruths not based on intelligence. Jim Clapper claimed that the Russians tilted the elections to Donald Trump. Not true. And absolutely contradicts the intelligence that was produced and resulted in the January 2017 DNI assessment over which Clapper presided. Brennan claimed that Putin could blackmail Trump. Same thing. There's no evidence to support that claim. So they're both being irresponsible, even though they're not exactly, revealing classified information.
Dr. Gorka, I know you have a thing or two to say on this.
I have three things to say, Sean. Number one, since the CIA was created in 1947, not one former CIA director has behaved as disgracefully as John Brennan. The idea that within months of leaving office, you are attacking the sitting president, calling him treasonous and accusing him of committing high crimes and misdemeanors is absolutely outrageous. Secondly, you mentioned it in your introduction. How is it that John Brennan even got a job at the CIA when he admitted to voting for the Communist Party at the height of the Cold War, when the Soviet Union had 25,000 nuclear warheads aimed at this country and when it was committed to our destruction? I'd like to find an investigation into why he was employed by the CIA, let alone become its director. And lastly, Daniel, let me just expand upon what Daniel said. There are only two reasons after you retire from government service at his level that you should maintain a security clearance. Number one, you are actively involved in current government projects as a contractor. John Brennan isn't. Secondly, your advice is requested by your successors so that the new CIA director can listen to you. This administration does not want John Brennan's advice. Therefore, the president should strip him of his security clearance right now, Sean.
Well said. How do you get to call yourself NBC News and have people under that banner suggesting that without any evidence, the president may be an agent of Russia, an agent, and that he's compromised, when the president's been 10 times stronger, Dan, against Russia than Mr. Apologize for America and bribe the mullahs of Iran with American dollars in cash.
John Brennan later walked that back post facto, but the damage was done, Sean, because a lot of our allies who share intelligence with us heard him. And they assume that based on the fact that John Brennan has that security clearance, he might know something. Same with our sources in Russia who might worry about their safety because John Brennan is claiming that the president could be blackmailed by Vladimir Putin. Brennan needed to have taken the Hippocratic oath of doing no harm to our national security when he exercises his right of free speech.
Dr. Gorka?
Every time John Brennan spins these insinuations, he is doing Vladimir Putin's dirty work. That's who John Brennan is today. He is undermining America.
Well said. Thank you both. When we come back, they're back. Jesse Waters, Jessica Tarlov, we'll find out whose world it is on Meghan McCain's takedown of Joy Behar in her defense of socialism. Powerful moment. You don't want to miss it next. All right, things got very heated. Shocking. On The View yesterday, Joy Behar, Meghan McCain got into a debate over socialism, and Democrats, rising star Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and this is what happened. Take a look.
Isn't democratic socialism very close to liberalism? I mean,
no.
I mean, well, think about it for a second. Medicare, Social Security, garbage collection, the post office, the library.
I agree with you. I hope Democrats do run a democratic socialist.
Do you hope that we win? Do you win? The Democrats
no, because I think you'll lose spectacularly, and then I will look forward to election night when I finally get to tell everybody I told you so if you end up running a radical. Problem with socialism, in the words of Margaret Thatcher, at a certain point you run out of spending other people's money. Every democratic socialist who is going on TV saying that it's good needs to start paying 90% in taxes.
Iceland.
On your tax form. No, on your tax form, I think you should start paying the amount of taxes that every socialist in this country thinks you need to. Because if you think the government is so good at spending money, look at the VA. No, because it is dangerous. It is dangerous.
Boom. Meghan McCain. The only thing missing was Jeanine Pirro being thrown off the show. It would have been the perfect show. All right, it's his world, and we live in it. He's got two shows. The co-host of The Five, Jesse Waters, and Waters World, and Waters Everything, and Jessica Tarlov, who was the reigning champion and lost your thing. All right, so this is the Democrat agenda for 2018. They want to impeach Donald Trump, but they don't want to say it. They want their crumbs back. We'll get to that in a second. That's what Meghan McCain was talking about. They want open borders, get rid of ICE. They want to keep Obamacare. That's been a great success. And on top of all of that, we got a party that literally wants to stop investigations into corruption. Why do you explain to Americans why they should give their crumbs to Nancy Pelosi, Elizabeth Warren, and Joy Behar?
Oh, and donations money? Because they're actually, when Democrats get into...
No.
Why they should take that $1,000 and give it to the Democrats?
Or $2,000 or a significant amount of money for real families. Yeah, well, why should they give it back?
There are new reports that wages haven't actually been increasing, but I get that the tax cuts were a big bonus for the Republican side there. They should give to Democrats because our agenda will actually benefit middle and lower class Americans. And that's not what's going on here.
So you want every American that got a tax cut to be taxed again. You want it back.
No. That's not what's going to happen. First of all, the mega rich are the ones that you two are getting taxed. I'm not even going to get taxed.
Yeah. You have no idea how much Jesse gets paid.
Yeah. Or whatever it is, it's not enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say this. You want to bring Venezuela to America, I think that's terrible. Because in Venezuela, human beings are taking dog medicine. There is famine. It is the murder capital of the world. I think if you want to bring socialism to America, you hate America because it is going to destroy America. And politically, it's suicide to become socialist. Look what you guys did in 1994. You went way left, and you went way left in 2010. Both times Republicans swept through the House, massive gains. If you guys want to kill yourselves, I'm just going to sit back and watch.
Well, in 2010, you guys went way right, and you took a lot of House seats, right? 66, I think. We only need 23 to take control. The Dem Socialist movement, right now, there are only 42 of these candidates in contention nationwide. This is not the mainstream. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. They're not Democrat socialists. Bernie Sanders is.
Oh, no.
Alexandria. Oh, no. They talk about it all the time.
How about, wait,
there was
Meghan
just
McCain
even a
had a good
mainstream
idea.
Dem conference in Ohio.
Meghan McCain had a really good idea. I like it.
90%?
No. We're going to put we'll call it the Joy Behar, Jessica Tarlov box.
Yeah.
Pay as much as you think you should pay. But leave the rest of Americans alone, families that are struggling to pay for their cars and their mortgages and send their kids to a private school because the public school sucks, etc.
You know what the truth is, Sean, though? They can't afford any of these policies. They're not very good at math. You know how much free health care costs? $30 trillion. And they want to add free housing and free college on top of that. You can raise everybody's taxes to 90%. That isn't going to make a dent in the cost of those programs.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. I'm going to return to what I said just 2 seconds ago. This isn't the Democrat mainstream. When you look at what Bernie was advocating versus Hillary, she made the same point as you sound like Hillary Clinton, Jesse Waters, because she said, how are you good
Lock
for
me
it,
up
Bernie?
then.
How did you take my awesome line and make it even better?
That's a great line.
Mine was amazing. Jesse Waters, you sound like Hillary Clinton. I win for that.
I'm sorry, but the comeback beat the line. The comeback killed
The
it.
validity of my argument, though, should be Jesse's.
There's validity?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Dem socialists are not a majority. We're not in danger of becoming
Can you
Venezuela.
name one positive agenda item of the Democrats besides the 5 items I mentioned?
Yeah, our tax plan is a lot better. It benefits.
Take the crumbs back.
taxes.
Raising taxes.
Okay.
On you.
Don't change. All right, ready?
All right.
Ready? Water's world.
There it is.
Sorry. All right, when we come back, Rush Limbaugh, really great words about the president's critics in the media, constantly, breathlessly trying to take him down every second, every minute of every day. All right, the great Rush Limbaugh has such a great take on the continuous failure of the media to just destroy and delegitimize the president you voted for. Take a look.
There's one other thing these clowns at CNN and the drive-bys don't get, and that is that every phony blockbuster story about Trump, every one of these things that doesn't go anywhere, every one of these things that doesn't get rid of Donald Trump inoculates him from the next one. And every inoculation then lessens the credibility of the media. And all of this, I think, ends up helping Trump. They haven't figured this out. They still think they can get rid of Republican presidents, and they're not going to give up.
Such a good point. Every second, every minute, every hour of every day, they can't help themselves. And Rush is right. They're inoculating Trump. We'll always be fair and balanced. We're not the Destroy Trump media. We always thank you for being with us. And we hope you'll tune in tomorrow night. Along with the breaking news, Roseanne Barr will join us. You don't want to miss it. Let not your heart be troubled. Ingraham, Angles. You have some of my best friends on the show. You have Jordan Meadows and Greg Jarrett, who has the #1 book in the country.
Oh, Greg's book is awesome. Hey, Giuliani came on my show last night. I mean, I'm glad I loaned him to you tonight.
Is everything tit for tat? Every single thing tit for tat?
You started it. You're the one who said, "Oh, you had my guest, so you have my guest from tonight." So there. We're
By
like
the way,
brother
my
and
tie's
sister.
crooked. I
we
never
do
noticed.
this.
How's that? I'll fix it at the end of the show.
How long have we been fighting like this? We've been fighting like this for at least 18 years. So
All right,
this is like
you have
never
been mean
ends.
to me for 18 years. I'm going to tell the whole story one day. On top of all the trouble you got into, like Tucker in college.
Watch what you asked for, Hannity.
I've been worse than both of you, so just so we know. All right, have a great show, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see you tomorrow, Hannity. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle. A stunning development concerning the potential fate of the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, tonight. Congressman Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan have just filed, wait for it, articles of impeachment against the man tasked with overseeing the Mueller probe. They'll be here exclusively to tell us why in just a bit. Plus, Raymond Arroyo will be here to expose the literal and figurative stars broken by a PC culture gone totally mad. A special Hollywood edition of our Seen and Unseen segment is ahead. You don't want to miss it. We also have some major stories to report about ICE and the threat from China. But first, Trump wins while the resistance spins. That's the focus of tonight's angle. To listen to the media in this country, you would think that these are the biggest stories in America.
As the fallout from Donald Trump's disastrous summit with Vladimir Putin continues, so does the Mueller investigation into possible Trump-Russia collusion.
There seemed to be some sort of expense system in place, the Trump organization, for things that needed to be fixed, like a Stormy Daniels.
That conversation with Donald Trump that Michael Cohen secretly recorded is officially no longer a secret.
I think the big story here is the fact that you now have Michael Cohen has now flipped on Donald Trump.
But those stories are nothing more than meaningless stand-ins, distractions from the most important story of the day. And what is it? America's winning again because we have a president with guts. On defense, on manufacturing, our culture, trade. Few presidents have fought the way Trump has. Even his former GOP foes have had to concede the obvious. Here's Marco Rubio on Trump's interactions with China.
On a broader scale, I don't know of any administration that's confronted China's cheating more than this administration has, to be fair.
Trump has steadfastly refused to cede America's preeminence to the communist regime of China. But remember, China already has a $23.2 trillion economy, which is almost $4 trillion more than our own. But with tough tariffs and blunt talk, he has now brought China to the negotiating table. That is a very good thing. And just today, the president met with EU Commission President to discuss trade. After Trump boosted tariffs on certain EU goods to create a fair situation for American manufacturers, the EU retaliated with tariffs of its own. But today, they were all singing a different tune.
We agreed today, first of all, to work together towards zero tariffs, zero non-tariff barriers, and zero subsidies on non-auto industrial goods. We will also work to reduce barriers and increase trade in services, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, medical products, as well as soybeans. And it will also make trade fairer and more reciprocal.
When I was invited by the president to the White House, I had one intention. I had the intention to make a deal today, and we made a deal today.
Why haven't any of these other presidents done what Trump did? They didn't want to, or they didn't have the brain power to do it, or they didn't have the courage to do it. But today, the market responded, closing at its highest level since January. And this kind of advance wouldn't have been possible if Trump had not raised the issue and raised the ante with the EU all along. The market is soaring. Wages are beginning, ever so slowly, to rise. In fact, 213,000 jobs have been added here just last month due to Trump's policies. GDP growth is strong with an expected huge number this Friday. Bottom line, it is a great time to be an American, someone who's working, who wants a job. And to top it all off, the president's Hire American initiative has started to produce results. There was a 41% increase in denials of high-skilled H-1B visa applicants between the third and fourth quarter. That helps American citizens over foreign workers in the job market. It's about time. And the president is doing all of this while battling the deep state, the unfair media, of course, all the international bureaucrats we've come to know and love, and establishment politicians here in Washington. And there are some congressmen who, despite all this great news, just refused to get the memo that, the Bush era is over.
I don't support tariffs. I think tariffs are taxes. And I think there are better tools that we can use to hold abusers of trade laws and countries that perpetuate unfair trade practices. I think there are better tools to use to get them to play fairly.
I have a question. If those magic tools were out there, why weren't they used before? But what tools? I was looking at the toolbox. Where are they? And let's remember what some other experts in Congress were recently saying about the tariffs.
A wildly swung bat that is hitting our closest allies in a way that harms our national security, harms our chances at better trade deals.
I just think there's so much collateral damage. I think it's a very risky and dangerous strategy.
This is an abuse of presidential authority. It's an abuse of presidential authority.
Well, once again, guess what? They're wrong. Trump stood for America with a tool that every president has used in one form or another, and our economic competitors ended up doing the thing that he predicted they'd do. They came to the table, they started listening, and they made concessions. More are coming, by the way. So rather than taking pot shots at the president, Republicans should be celebrating and promoting this approach to trade in the economy, the Trump agenda. It's also their clearest path to victory in the midterms. Which reminds me, by the way, a word of caution for this president at the same time. We got to talk straight here with all the good news, also a word of caution. Every time, Mr. President, you comment on the latest Michael Cohen tape, or every time you spar with lowlifes like Brennan or Avenatti or any of them, I think what you do sometimes, you end up giving oxygen to the stories advanced by your political opponents to distract from the most important story. That's America's economic resurgence and the restoration of our place in the world. So Donald Trump should be taking a victory lap almost every week in a different way, shape, or form. Things are awesome right now. The more the president and his party focus on that story, the more the Stormy, Mueller, Michael Cohen sideshow is diminished. The media attempt to distract voters from the lived experience of the Trump economy. But I'm telling you, it's not working. My radio listeners tell me every day, we don't care about these stories. What's in my bottom line? Trump's approval, by the way, today at 48%, according to a new American Barometer poll. The voters know reality, and they're tuning out the rest of this stuff. It's kind of white noise, background noise to them. They can see the impact of this presidency every day. They can feel it in their pocketbooks. They can feel it in their lives. And that's the angle. Joining me now for reaction is Dan Bongino, host of the Dan Bongino Show podcast. Dave Bossie, former deputy campaign manager of President Trump's campaign and co-author of Let Trump Be Trump. And, of course, Richard Goodstein, a Democratic strategist and former advisor to Bill and Hillary Clinton. Great to have all of you on. Richard, your reaction.
Well, first, for your viewers, there were two more recent polls. One, the Quinnipiac poll that had the president's approval at 38, and the Marist poll that had it at 39. Worse, in the Quinnipiac poll, the question was, does the president stand up for U.S. interests? 54% said no. 41% said
what do you think?
Yes.
What do you I mean?
What I'm saying is,
Richard, hold on. I just have a simple question for you.
Yeah.
I know you're here and you're going to say Trump sucks.
No.
Trump sucks.
No.
I mean, you're going to say that, but listen for a second. You see him up there with the EU commissioner, right? You guys were out there saying this thing was going to tank, that the tariffs were going to tank things. He stood up there with the EU commissioner, and they stood together, and they said, we're going to work together, we're going to lower tariffs. That was a victory. And for anyone, Democrat or Republican or independent, to claim anything other than that was a president standing up for America is false and fraudulent. So I hope you're not about to do that on this show tonight. I don't care about your Quinnipiac.
It's a victory in the same way that him standing with Kim in North Korea and saying we have denuclearized.
The EU is Kim?
Well, no, I'm saying it's empty. Just like the Kim deal was empty. This is a promise to talk about promising.
No, they've already made concessions on soybeans. Yes, they did. It was announced. Well, Dave Bossie, you got that wrong.
Well, I don't think so.
This president campaigned as an American first president. That is what he has done. He's done it on trade. He's done it on foreign policy. He's done it on the economy. This president has decided, I'm going to take on these unfair tariffs and these bad trade deals which have been on America for the last 30 or 40 years after I build a strong economy. And that's what we have. This president, unlike any president in recent past, has done America first and America only, and he stood tall in the world doing it.
Richard, you're going to get another chance to come back at me because I came at you pretty hard. But Dan Bongino, Friday's GDP, that number, you get the sense it's going to be very high. 4% plus. We haven't had anyone know on this table the last time we had a 4% GDP?
Yeah, Obama 2014.
Yeah, okay. 4% GDP. It was projected that he was going to tank the economy. Mark Cuban, all these people predicting economic Armageddon under Donald Trump. Dan Bongino, to hear people claim that this president is asleep at the wheel, he's playing a reality game here, he doesn't know what he's doing, is preposterous. Look at what happened today. And we're going to have more news on China, by the way, but go ahead.
Yeah, I love it, Laura. Keep underestimating them, folks. Richard, you too. It's working so well for you, isn't it? Didn't you give him a 0% chance of winning the Washington Post, Donald Trump, before the election? I remember that Washington Post headline, by the way. Hey, listen, folks, here's the deal. New rules, okay? New rules. The Democrats for 8 years attacked us with the most vicious identity politics known to man. Nobody gives a crap about Michael Cohen. Nobody gives a damn about this president's personal behavior. Here's the new rules. Now it's about winning. It's about winning on taxes. It's about winning on your business. It's about winning on a pro-life judge agenda, saving infants in the womb. It's about saving your health care. It's about saving the education system. It's about doing the right thing for once with this government. You want to focus on a tape recording of a sleazy lawyer who taped his client, you go right ahead, knock it out. We'll be looking at a landslide in 2020. But make no mistake, the new rules are here. It's about winning. And again, one more thing. For all the never-Trumpers out there, oh, we're sacrificing our principles here. No, BS. This is the first president since Reagan actually in the White House fighting for our principles. So spare me the crap moral lectures. Save it for someone who gives a damn, and it ain't me.
Yeah, when I hear Paul Ryan talking about, I'm for other tools. I'm sorry, I had to burst out. What is he talking about? This Kempian idea that there are other tools, like Reagan and Bush and Clinton and Obama didn't talk to the Europeans about having better trade. They did. They talked and talked and got nowhere.
Donald Trump's policies were going to cause the sky to fall, us to have a recession, and us to go to war across this globe. None of those things have happened. That's what the Democrat Party stands for. The negativity, the hate. They hate this president more than they love this country.
They despise him, Richard.
Couple things. First, I give Trump credit for going after the Chinese who've been getting away with murder. No question about it. But, for example, they're getting away with murder on aluminum, for example. But why put tariffs on the EU, Canada, Mexico? Countries that are not responsible for this. Okay,
well,
so it's just a little misplaced.
But that's we can do trade for an hour.
Here's where I think why I think his numbers are dipping below 40. Truthful hyperbole doesn't work. You can't say to the public would and the next day wouldn't and expect that everybody's going to fall for it. People are now getting wise to it.
I didn't think that was handled well.
You can't say, I didn't have an affair with these people, and then it comes out on tape that you did. You just can't get away with it.